Yeah, most of them are the atypical type.
And they all
You have a purpose. You have a purpose in life. Your child has a purpose in life. Your child has the right to live a happy life too.
exactly, for sure on that. For those, you know, I'm a parent who lost children, and boy, it's a tough thing that never goes away, you know, of course. And I guess the point that I would like to say is when you're talking to a parent who's lost children, there's absolutely nothing you can say. You can't say, hey, I know how you feel, because you don't know how they feel. There's no way to know. And that, in my case, I thought, you know, well, my baby died because I didn't love her enough. You know, I had that feeling of somehow you hadn't given the love out or whatever. And I've heard that from a lot of people. You know that in your mind that can't possibly be true, and yet you still feel that in your heart, I suppose. And that's what I was wondering. You have to go through those stages of getting over it, I guess.
Yes, you have to go.
And were there any special points at which you got over it, or in your early stages, or?
In the early stages, actually. When Julia was diagnosed, she was exactly 2 years and a half.
Okay.
I cried for 3 straight days, but after that, I told myself, because I was always telling myself, this has to be fixed. I need a cure.
Right.
I search for a cure. I read everything in the internet. But it will come to a point that as a parent, you will say to yourself that if you cannot fix your child, you have to fix yourself, your attitude.
Right. And then you just see it as a situation to deal with,
yes,
I guess.
To deal with, and deal with it on a day-to-day basis. Don't worry about the future. You know, just deal with it on a day-to-day basis, because most parents are fearful because they always look at the future.
Right.
What will happen in the future? But it's the future. It's not yet here. Just deal with it.
Today is the future. That's it, right. In fact, there was a fellow that used to work for me, was about the same age as my father, and he developed cancer later in his late 60s. And he always said, he says, I don't have a problem, I have a situation. He was an inventor and an engineer, and he saw everything as just another engineering exercise to take care of, and that's the way that he handled it through. And maybe that's the only way that we can handle something like this, rather than saying, oh, why me, Lord, and why did this happen to me? And of course, we ask those questions always with a bit of angst and anger and other things in the beginning, but you have to get past that, I guess.
And I cannot blame other parents who, after many years of diagnosis, cannot still accept the situation of their children. Because even if we have on the same journey, we're different people.
Right.
We handle this differently, so I cannot blame them. It's normal for every parent.
He developed cancer later in his late 60s. And he always said, he says, I don't have a problem, I have a situation. He was an inventor and an engineer, and he saw everything as just another engineering exercise to take care of, and that's the way that he handled it through. And maybe that's the only way that we can handle something like this, rather than saying, oh, why me, Lord, and why did this happen to me? And of course, we ask those questions always with a bit of angst and anger and other things in the beginning, but you have to get past that, I guess.
And I cannot blame other parents who, after many years of diagnosis, cannot still accept the situation of their children. Because even if we have on the same journey, we're different people.
Right.
We handle this differently, so I cannot blame them. It's normal for every parent who has a child suffering from Rett syndrome, you know, have these feelings of guilt, anger sometimes. It's normal.
And in the case of this one, you know, I suppose this is not quite as bad as if you found out that somebody in your past had the same disease and so why did I bring this on or why did I carry it on? But in this case, it's not passed on by families at all. It's just...
It just happens.
It just happens, right. And, but it is encouraging, though, that they know, they actually can identify exactly what genes they are, so they can actually
It was just in 1999 when they found the gene that causes Rett syndrome.
1999? Really?
And then in 2007, the symptoms were reversed in a mice model. So very promising future for the girls with Rett syndrome, right?
Well, yeah, it's moving ahead.
Yes,
you're looking actually now, we're going into 12, so you just got a couple more years of seeing where it's going, where it might go. And in the meantime, I assume you're going to keep working on your support group.
Support group. Yeah.
And hopefully, I'm hopeful that you'll be able to identify all of the families here in the Philippines, because it can only help. You know, anybody out there that, if you even think you have Rett syndrome or any of the other diseases, or you haven't felt that you've had a good diagnosis from anyone, contact the PSOD, contact Pam if you think it's Rett syndrome, because you have a lot of information. You'll be able to guide them of where to go. When I know that the PSOD has some doctors
Yes,
that are geneticists who work with them. Do they work with the Rett syndrome
Yes,
children as well?
these are doctors from UP, University of the Philippines,
Right.
National Institute of Health, and Institute for Human Genetics.
And that's in Cavite, is it? Or,
no, here in Manila,
oh,
UP.
it's at UP
Manila, near
itself. I see.
PGH.
Okay, good.
Yes.
And so they could contact the people there and
Yes.
find what it is. How about, you know, in your case, you did everything right, but it still took another year after. It was just kind of a process of elimination, I guess,
Yes.
of saying, well, it isn't this, and it isn't this, and it isn't that. It must be something else. Is there any way around that with this disease, or?
Because in Julia's case, when she was diagnosed in 2003, very little is known in the Philippines about Rett syndrome during
I
that
see.
time. And like just this year or a year ago, you can read Rett syndrome in the newspaper. You can hear it on TV.
So we see it now, and so we've got a better chance of
we
it.
have a better chance of finding other parents, because it's hard for a parent who's looking for a diagnosis.
Right, right.
I was on that road for a long time, for almost 2 years. We were searching for answers. We didn't know what's wrong with our child. We had all the tests available here, and everything came back normal.
Well, I hope that our show helps some of those people, because we're out of time.
I know.
Unfortunately. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks, my pleasure,
It's really great to learn this. And all of you folks out there, as I said, if you have any idea that you might have Rett syndrome, please you can contact GNN here. You can contact me. You can contact the PSOD. But let us know, because we sure want to help. And I'd like to thank you for once again inviting us into your homes. It sure wouldn't be any fun without you. And until next week, straight ahead.